Hello, this is Professor Brown-Sederberg, and I just want to spend some time talking about the escape characters. Now, to your compiler, certain characters have a very specific meaning. There are times when we want to print those characters to the screen just simply as characters. So we have to take some steps to make sure that those characters are printed as simple characters, not to be interpreted in a special way by the compiler. So here we're going to look at the first of those, and that's the double quotation mark. Now, if I wanted to include in a line, Lincoln said, 7 years ago at Gettysburg, quotation marks around 7 years ago, I tried to do it this way. But you can see by the color coding of our IDE, Dr. Java, that it's a little confused. We have this, Lincoln said, in these quotation marks, treated as a string. At Gettysburg, within these quotation marks, treated as a string. But what's in between, the compiler doesn't know what to do with that. You see, it's interpreting that quotation mark as the end of a string, this quotation mark as the beginning. And so it's really rather confused. We just want quotation marks to be printed here and here, simple quotation marks. So you'll see when I try to compile, I'm yacked at. The way around that problem is to include backslashes. And I'll put a backslash in front of this quotation mark and this one. And that tells the compiler this isn't the beginning or the end of a string, it's just a simple quotation mark. So now as I compile, it's clean, and when I run, I have indeed printed to the screen what I wanted. Lincoln said, quote, 7 years ago, end quote, at Gettysburg. Now the second character that requires specific treatment is the backslash. To our compiler, a backslash is going to indicate a path. If I wanted to print to the screen this line that says paths contain backslashes like this, C, backslash my folder, backslash another folder, I try to compile that, I will be yacked at because my compiler is going to see the backslash and say, oh, that's a path, that indicates a path, I'm to do something special. So if I want to just simply print to the screen a backslash, I put a backslash in front of it. So here we'll see I have two backslashes. This is the escape character. That's the backslash that I want printed. Again, here and here and here. And now when I compile, I have a clean compile and run, and it prints as I wanted it to print. Now, the other character that has specific meaning to the compiler is the single quote. Now, if I wanted to put a single quote into a line, as I have here, single quotes like this are fine in a quoted string. I'm going to compile this, and it compiles just fine, and it'll run just fine. You see, in a quoted string, a single quotation mark is fine, no problem. However, if I want to have a single quotation mark saved as a variable of type character, if I try to declare my character named single quote and put a single quotation mark in that space as I have here, you'll note that I'm yacked at. If I want to have a single quote, I have to put a backslash. And so with that backslash, I say to the compiler, this is indeed the character, a single quote. And now I'll compile just fine, and my program would run also. So those three, the double quote, the backslash, and the single quote, need that special treatment of having a backslash in front of them. Now we have these two escape characters that allow us to process information a little differently, to print things. And the first is a new line. And what a new line is and does is a backslash n. It just says, after, at this point, go to the next line. Anything after me goes on the next line. So here I have a backslash n in the middle of this line. And as I compile it, a clean compile, and now I'll run, and you'll see that it goes to the next line. Notice that the next line here includes that space that followed the next line character. So I have a space here. If I wanted it to be left justified, I take that space out and now run it again, and I'm justified. So it simply goes to the next line and then starts printing again. So that's the new line, and that's a backslash n. We also have the carriage return. The carriage return is difficult to explain when we're printing to the screen. What a carriage return does is it goes back to the beginning of the line, right? And so it's a \R. If I compile this, I'll have a clean compile. And notice it says a carriage return \R brings you back to start the current line. Now I'll run it, and notice what prints to the screen doesn't go back because it can't overwrite. I can't overwrite it. If I were printing to paper, it would overwrite that first part of the string, this part, because it would print a carriage return, then go back, and then print this. Notice when I print it to the screen, it simply skips the \R. That doesn't get printed to the screen. Lastly, we have the tab, and the tab is a little bit system dependent, and we use it in formatting. And it's just a simple \T, and it moves us over typically 5 spaces. You have to play with the tabs though a bit as you're laying things out, because it's system dependent and it depends on the length of the word that you just printed. So let's look at this one where we say tabbing, and I'm just going to tab over. Tabbing over is useful in layout, and I tab over once after each word. And so let's compile this and then run it, and you'll see that I am indeed tabbing over, but the spacing isn't consistent. You'll see that there's a larger space here after tabbing than there is after over. After is, there's a larger. After useful, quite large, right? If I were to put in, I believe, let's just play with it. Let's just make this 5, and we'll just make this 5, and we'll make this 5 spaces long. And this is already 5, and we'll make this 5 spaces long. And this is let's see if this gives us some uniformity. Not quite. You have to play with it a bit. Okay? So that's tabbing over. So what we've looked at are the escape characters. We want to print a double quotation mark in a string, or \/ in a string, or have as a character a single quotation, to input a new line, that is, go to the next line within a quoted string, to return the carriage to the beginning of the current line, or to tab over. We use these escape characters to accommodate all of that. Thank you.